first time in my life, I know exactly who I am.
Hey guys, we are here because another show is about to pop off on AMC Plus. If you loved Interview with the Vampire, which is a series by Anne Rice, Vampire Chronicles, that's the first book in that series. Well, we got another series coming out. It's based on a trilogy by Anne Rice, and it is called Mayfair Witches. Now, the first season is probably going to cover the witching hour, maybe hints of some of the other books, but it premieres on January 8th. So I'm here. I couldn't do this alone. Like, I could not do this show alone. Sam had to do Interview with the Vampire by himself. I'm like, nope, I can't do it alone. So I was like, let me ask Keen. Hey, Keen.
Black Girl Magic for the witching
Yes.
hour.
And considering it's very women centric, it seems very appropriate that we do this show. So this is a non-spoiler review. We are definitely going to be covering the show every week. And so what were your first thoughts? We're going to do like a non-series review of the first 4 episodes, but definitely non-spoiler. So we're going to tell you our initial thoughts on this show that's based on a novel series.
Well, having not seen the Interview with the Vampire series and not read the trilogy, I was concerned that I would come in feeling like I was missing something. But I was comforted as we were watching like the first episode and things were happening and you seemed to be like just as clueless as I was. So I was like, okay, we're starting at a level playing field here. I don't feel like I'm missing anything. Nat is just as confused as I am. So that means it's supposed to be this way and I'm not just daft. That's great. And, you know, as it's gone on, they've really started fleshing stuff out. They've started leaving little breadcrumbs for us where, you know, I'm kind of now at the point where if they zoom in on something or someone, I'm like, that there's no coincidence here. That is important. And I need to keep this in the back of my mind because it's going to pop up somewhere later.
Absolutely. So I had only read the series once in like early 20s. We're like in 2022 now, and that was like early 2000s. So it's been a minute. Mm-hmm. So when we saw the first episode, I'm like, I don't remember this. So now that I'm caught up, because by this point we've at least recorded a few things, I kind of know where we're at now. So I'm like, oh. But yeah, Rowan, or the show is pretty much about Dr. Rowan Fielding, who turns out to be adopted, and she finds out that she's part of this huge legacy in New Orleans with a family called the Mayfairs. And the Mayfairs have like a huge history as far as, you know, being witches. And there is an entity or a spirit that's been tied to this family, seems like for a very long time. And so what is the significance of that? And as we progress in the show, we're kind of still gleaning more information about the family and as well as this entity or spirit. You will probably, I'm saying entity a lot because there was at one point where we were reminded of a movie of the same name.
Which I'm watching today. Right. That is on my list of things to do today.
So, with Dr. Rowan, what did you think of Dr. Rowan as a character and just the other characters that have been introduced so far?
I really didn't have too many feelings about her, like one way or the other. Like I didn't love her. I didn't hate her. I think she was somewhat relatable in that she is a woman in a male-oriented work environment, and kind of seems like even though she's, she's on her game, like there's always going to be a man somewhere in her life telling her otherwise. That was weird.
That wasn't me though. I don't know who that was.
So between my shower head yelling at me this morning and that weird noise, I kind of want to burn this house down. Like as we're going through talking about entities, no.
Yeah, I mean, you seem to be in an older house, so maybe there's something to that.
I mean, it's not old, like it's not 1800s old. It's I think it was built in the 70s, but I'm uncomfy, and I'm gonna have to have like a real come to Jesus with anything in this house that is not putting in on the mortgage. But with that being said, it's the patriarchy. It's the patriarchy that is tormenting me in this house, because I started talking about how there's always some male figure that's basically trying to undercut her or make her feel like she's inferior. So just kind of seeing her still do her thing, be a little cocky about it. I'm cool with it. She's also kind of annoying by some of the decisions that she's making, but I understand the decisions for entertainment purposes, and if she did the common sense thing, then there wouldn't be a show. So okay.
A la Kindred. I was so frustrated with her, but were there any other characters that maybe stood out to you that maybe you're kind of like rooting for, or just maybe you're looking forward to what happens to them, or just learning more about them as the season progresses?
In the words of Issa Rae, you know it. So I ain't even got to say it.
Yeah,
right. So the gentleman that is, there to kind of help out, I'm rooting for him. I really like his, he's kind of a common sense person. He seems to be working on the side of logic and wanting to do what's right. And so I love that about him, and am hoping that his character really flourishes throughout this first season.
Okay, and if you're wondering who we're referring to, it is this dude right here, the character Cyprian Graves, who is actually a combination of two characters from the books. I'm not going to say who. It's probably going to be obvious for my book readers who that character is. And hold on just a second. Let me look up the name, because it's it is a long name. Tongai Carissa. I hope I am pronouncing that. And of course, who plays the main character, Alexandra Daddario. You may have seen her in, like the Percy Jackson movies. She's been around for like a minute, and I'm like, oh, you grown up now, girl. Come on and do your thing.
Her Annabeth. I'm like that's Annabeth.
Annabeth's a witch now? She's not just Athena's child, okay?
She's not just a demigod. Okay, cool. Making moves.
Yep. So, like Keem, I'm definitely rooting for anyone Black in the show. And Rowan, it's interesting to see like what's happening through her eyes and what ability she has, if any, and what repercussions those abilities may have, especially when she's a doctor. And then, of course, just her learning about her past, her present, and potentially her future. So this connection to the Mayfairs and this person or entity that seems to have this family in a chokehold.
Mhm.
And just the fact that I feel like the main word that we have used for this show is creepy.
Very creepy. It just I want to call CPS. I just like it feels like a walking PSA for, protect your kids.
Protect your kids at all costs,
All
especially
costs.
from spirits. Because they be trying to get busy. Mm. And then we have just the family itself, like who we get to meet, who has agendas, and who is just can't seem to win.
Just trying so hard. Like I try and I try and I try, and yet.
Yep. So by the fourth episode, things are starting to really pop off. And so I know for me, I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of this season brings, and especially where they'll end the season, just based on, again, just stuff that happens in the book. What would be a good stopping place to end the season, especially if they're going to split the first season kind of like in two parts, kind of like how they're doing with Interview with the Vampire. So, any last thoughts or teases for the audience?
It is kind of what I said earlier. I like that this it's not a brainless show. Like you kind of have to pay attention a little bit and pick up on like the little cues and clues that they're leaving for you. So if for nothing else, just watch it. Especially if you haven't read the books like me, I'm just hoping I can solve the mystery. Like I can answer the questions just by picking up on the little things that they're putting down throughout.
Awesome. And for me, I do like the historical aspect, the history, because in the place that they're pretty much having most of the story take place with is New Orleans. And that's a place I've always wanted to go. So there's always a lot of richness and history to New Orleans in the first place. So to see this family and what is going on with this family, the tea, the drama, the
so much.
and someone being introduced to that dynamic. I think that's why I think the series was appealing, and kind of like as the series progresses, what we learn about this family, what other hints or other things, or I can't say too much, but what we learn over the course and why everything is happening in the future. I'm hoping that we get to see that, especially since there is a tie-in to the Vampire Chronicles. I don't think it hasn't been directly hinted at so far from what we've seen, but it's definitely there. I know the connection, but I don't know if it's as obvious to others, so to speak. So Shakeem, if you haven't had a chance, please go see Interview with Vampire. But yeah, so definitely catch us back. We are gonna again do every episode a recap and a review. We do have some funny commentary, so be on the lookout for that. And thank you, Keem, for doing this series with me. Yeah, and we will catch y'all later. So definitely on Sundays, AMC Plus. If I had to guess, the episode on AMC Plus, if you are streaming and not like on cable or whatever, they may be releasing that episode earlier in the day. So I'm just saying, you may want to just subscribe to the channel, because that's what I did with Interview with Vampire, and that episode was out hours before it actually aired. So
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
some of us were like already on the season finale. So so definitely like and subscribe and hit that bell so you can get notified when we have more videos. And there are definitely more shows that we will be reviewing on this channel, like Last of Us is another big one that we will be doing on the channel. And of course, the regular movies and commentary. So bye.
Falling out the top of the moon. I can see the skyline, 50 mile radius on my timeline. Ain't nothing on my mind. Oh Lord.